By incorporating the prohibition against exogamy, marrying out, into the arayot laws, we can now justify the use of the word lenatek, to rip away, to separate, rather than la'avor or lichshol, which is the common terms used for this kind of violation of Torah law. And by the same token, we can also develop a response to question 9 of the set of 9 questions as to why, to demonstrate the seriousness of this nituk, Rashi needed to refer us to the events of 930 years later, during the days of Ezra, when this issue was raised with respect to this very generation in Bamidbar 11, as per the second interpretation that Rashi provides for the words Bochel Lemishpachotav, where he writes, Rabbeinu Amru, Lemishpachotav, the definition of Lemishpachotav is not geographical, but a cause for the complaint, al iskei mishpachot, regarding the matter with respect to marriage partners within a family, the prohibitions al harayot and ne'esarot lahem. The complaint was against the familial relationships that now had become prohibited to them post-Matan Torah. We are not sure whether they actually were in violation of these arayot laws, or whether this was a complaint as to the future restrictions that were to be implemented, but nevertheless Rashi could have indicated that this issue of arayot was one that was real. Rather than resorting to Ezra, he could have just as easily used Bamidbar 11. The answer lies in the fact that although we are including exogamy into the arayot laws, we nevertheless find a distinction in terms of consequences. We previously referred to the Rambam, reinforced by Rashi from the standpoint of Pshuta Shel Mikra, that the consequences of marrying out to that of violating the incestual taboos lies with the nituk factor. With marrying out, the consequence is that there is a nituk, a disconnect, an end to the line of Jewishness, and here we are dealing with DNA Jewishness, whereas a violation of the incestual taboos does not create this nituk, this disconnect. And therefore, in attempting to justify the Ani Hashem Elokechem, at least the severity aspect, on account of the restrictions against marrying out, Rashi could not refer to Bamidbar 11, because with Bamidbar 11 we did not have the issue of nituk. And in order to justify the use of the Ani Hashem Elokechem with respect to the arayot laws, on account of its nituk component, he therefore needed to use Ezra by way of example. There is one loose end referred to earlier as to why the prohibition against marrying out was not included in the arayot list of Vayikra 18, but rather awaited until Devarim Perek 7. To this the Rebbe in the SICHAH forewarns in a rather lengthy footnote that this aspect of the arayot laws is included or hinted at with the inclusion of the word Elokechem, because on the surface the consequences aspect is reflected in the two words Ani Hashem. This had been established by Rashi in his commentary to Shmot 6, Pasuk 2, Ani Hashem, where he writes firstly, B'loshen hazeh matzinu shehu nidrash b'kama mekomot. This understanding for the Ani Hashem is interpreted in this way in a number of places throughout the Tanakh, that Ani Hashem ne'eman lipareya, keshu omer etzel onesh, that when the Ani Hashem is mentioned in connection to a punishment, it implies that God has the ability to and will carry through with a threat of punishment, keshu omer etzel kiyom mitzvot, and when on the other hand the Ani Hashem is mentioned in connection to the fulfillment of mitzvot, ne'eman litein sachar, God can be relied upon to reward the individual for his or her efforts. As such, the word Elokechem as a statement of consequences in connection to the arayot is superfluous. To this, the Rebbe forewarns in a rather lengthy footnote that the Ani Hashem of Vayikra 18:2 reflects a request by God that although they have accepted the mitzvot, both the positive and the negative, at Har Sinai, he is requesting that they also accept upon themselves the gzerot as reflected in the arayot laws. And the severity of these gzerot includes the prohibitions against intermarriage on account of the nituk factor, that the Jewish DNA lineage ends with the Jewish male taking a non-Jewish life partner, where the child born of this union, from the standpoint of halachic Judaism, is deemed to be not Jewish. And this is hinted at with the inclusion of an additional descriptive, namely Elokim, a God of judgment. The specifics of that prohibition were to be formulated and presented by Moshe in the name of God in Sefer Devarim, Perek Zayin, Bitcha lo titein libno, or Bitcha lo tikach levincha.